A very good morning, Class 9 students. I welcome you all on this online platform provided by JAGRITI classes. So we were doing Chapter 14 of Class 9, that is Natural Resources. And in the previous video classes, we have covered some important topics, that is the topic biogeochemical cycle. Okay. Before this, we have discussed the different kinds of pollution, that is air pollution, water pollution, and the third one was soil pollution, which was given in your books. And then we started the 4 biogeochemical cycles. The first one was water cycle, which is also known as the hydrological cycle. Then next we did a short cycle, which was ozone cycle. So you have to remember all the kinds of flow chart which you have in the cycle. And then if you have understood the concept behind these flow charts, that how these are made or how the process of cycling is going on, then you can easily in your own words describe about the cycle. So after completing all the 4 cycles, including water cycle, oxygen cycle, then we did carbon cycle and nitrogen cycle. So today the topic which we are left with is greenhouse effect. So what is actually greenhouse and greenhouse effect? So this video is for class 9 students and we are doing chapter 14, natural resources, okay? And today's topic is greenhouse effect. So what do you actually mean by the term greenhouse? So greenhouse is this sort of, if you can see in the picture, this is known as a greenhouse. Greenhouse is basically a chamber which is made up of glass. As you can see, it is a hut-like chamber, a house-like structure which is made up of glass and woods. So why greenhouses were initially constructed? The first question which comes to our mind, that what was the use for construction of such greenhouses? So these greenhouses, they were constructed in order to provide the growth or in order to provide the tropical plants with the heat they require during winters. Because during winters, what happens is, if we are talking about the polar regions where there is ice cold winters or the snowfall occurs, then during that time the tropical plants which require certain amount of heat for their growth and development, they cannot grow. And in order to make these plants grow during such extreme winter season, a greenhouse, that is a house-like structure made up of glass, was constructed. And this helped these plants to get the required amount of heat or to get the required amount of sunlight. Because this greenhouse, as you can see, it is made up from glass. We can call it to be a house-like structure which is made up of glass. Then what is the requirement of this glass, or what is the need for making this structure with using glasses? So the requirement is, whenever sunlight enters this chamber, then what happens? This sunlight is being trapped inside the chamber, and this trapped sunlight, it undergoes multiple reflections. If you can see that sunlight, we all know it is a white light which is composed of 7 colors. And the 7 colors which the white light is composed of, these are arranged in a pattern of Vibgyor. So we can say that this sunlight, which is white in color, this sunlight is actually made up of 7 colors. And these 7 colors are known as Vibgyor. Here Vibgyor means V stands for violet, then I is indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red. So these are the 7 colors which actually constitute the sunlight. And because of a mixture of all these colors, or because of the presence of all these 7 colors in the sunlight appears to be white in color. So when this sunlight, now these sunlight is divided into 7 colors. So what is the basis of differentiation, or how these 7 colors are different? So in scientific notation, we can use a term which is known as wavelength. You will be reading about this in your higher classes. So wavelength, if I try to explain you in short, every light energy, this is a kind of light energy which we are receiving from the sun. So every light energy, it travels in the form of wave. and these are the parts of the wave. So the upper part of a wave is known as crest and the lower part is known as trough. And this part, that is one upper part and one lower part, this constitutes one wave. So we say that this is the diagram which we can make for signifying or denoting one wave. And in this diagram, how many waves do we have? We have one this and the next one. So here I have denoted a complete two waves in this figure. So these are the two waves which are being denoted in the figure. And what do you mean by the term wavelength then? Wavelength is the length of wave. And how will you signify the length of wave? It is the distance between two consecutive crests. This is the first crest and this is the next consecutive crest. So if we measure the distance between both these crests, it gives you the value of wavelength. And you can also measure the distance between two consecutive troughs. It would also provide you with the value of wavelength. And for denoting wavelength, the symbol used is lambda here. So wavelength is denoted by the symbol lambda, and lambda means distance between two consecutive crests or two consecutive troughs. So these all the colors present in your white light or present in the sunlight, they are composed of 7 different colors. And these 7 different colors, they have different amount of wavelength. So the violet color, which comes at the starting end or the extreme point, it has lowest value of wavelength. Whereas the red color, it has a highest value of the wavelength. So we can say that when we are moving from the violet end to our red end, then the value of wavelength is increasing. So the value of wavelength, which is denoted by lambda, it increases whenever you are moving from the violet to the red light. It means if I ask you between the green and yellow color, which would have a greater wavelength? So we say that because yellow color comes towards the right hand side of green, in turn yellow color would have larger value of wavelength compared to the wavelength of green. Because as we are moving from green to yellow, the amount of wavelength is increasing. That means this sunlight is composed of these 7 colors, and every different color has a different wavelength associated with it. So wavelength, if I am telling you a light has a shorter wavelength, okay? If I want to draw light which is having a shorter wavelength, or if I draw the light wave, light energy which is having a higher wavelength. So we can represent them into different diagrams using different diagrams. For shorter wavelength, it means the distance between crests should be less. It means the two crests should be nearer to each other, and such a wave can be denoted making the crest very nearer to each other. Okay, but higher wavelength means the two crests or the two troughs would have maximum distance between them. In turn, I can denote like this. So in this, if we measure the wavelength in both the cases, then here the value of wavelength or the length of wave is this, whereas in the below diagram, our wavelength is quite good or quite higher in value compared to the first one. So for denoting shorter wavelength, you can see that you will have many waves which are very near to each other, and for the higher wavelength or the longer wavelength, you have less number of waves in a given amount of space. So if I consider a given amount of space, then that is from point A to my final point B. Here also let this point is A and let this point is B. So in the first one, how many waves do I have? I told you one crest and one trough. This is crest, this is trough. So these make one wave. So here if I count my wave, so this would be 1, then this would be 2, 3rd and 4. So here I have 4 waves which are present between the points A and B. And number of waves present in the next diagram between the same points A and B are what? 1.5. So here you have 1.5 waves present between the same distance. So I am saying when the value of wavelength is less, it means you will have more number of waves. So waves having shorter wavelength have higher number present in a given space compared to the higher wavelength waves or the waves with longer wavelength. I hope this is clear, okay? So what I want to explain you is that the light which have longer wavelength, they would be reflected back. So let's see. This is a greenhouse, the greenhouse structure which we had, which is made up of glass. Okay, let's suppose this is a structure made up of glass, and inside it you have variety of plants. Okay, now moving further, when the sunlight comes, then you know this sunlight is composed of different wavelength of light. So some light would be of shorter wavelength and some other light would be of longer wavelength. Okay, both these are traveling. The light of longer wavelength, they again, after reflection, after they strike the glass, they undergo reflection and they are emitted back. So this was the light of longer wavelength, which is released back into the environment. Whereas the light which is having, this is the light which is having a short wavelength, short lambda value. So these are, they undergo multiple reflections. That is, this light, whenever they would strike with the glass, they are not released back or outside this chamber, whereas they undergo multiple reflections in this manner. Okay? And in turn, because it is being reflected internally, so all the heat of the sun, all the heat, or we can write, due to multiple reflections occurring, due to the multiple reflections which occurring inside the greenhouse, the heat of the sun also gets trapped, because all these light energy, they contain heat in them. Okay, they have heat energy in them. So these rays which are having heat energy, due to multiple reflections inside the greenhouse, all the heat is being trapped in the greenhouse, and then this heat of the sun also gets trapped inside the greenhouse. And this heat is responsible, or this heat is used by the plants in winters, and they can easily help in their growth and development. So this heat is responsible for the growth and development of tropical plants in winters. So tropical plants means those plants which require heat energy, or the plants which persist well or grow well in summer season, but in winters they do not show good growth, or they may even get destroyed or die, because they require certain amount of heat, and in winters you do not have that quantity of heat in your environment. In turn, these greenhouses were constructed so that the plants can even grow well in winters also. But this phenomena, this is known as the greenhouse or the greenhouse process. But we now have one environmental phenomena which is being named to this effect, and that is known as greenhouse effect. And this greenhouse effect, you can also find a very common example whenever a car, the vehicle car, is being parked outside in a sunny afternoon, and that car is receiving direct heat from the sun. So what would happen? You see, whenever you sit in a car which is being parked outside your house in the afternoon, talking about the extreme summer afternoon. So after sitting in that car which has been parked, let's say for 15 to 20 minutes, you feel extremely hot inside. Why? because the same process, greenhouse effect, occurs. What happens is the light from the reflectors or the light from the mirrors of the car, they enter into the car, the sun rays enter into the car, and then they undergo multiple reflections, due to which all the heat energy of those sun rays, they are absorbed or trapped by the seats, by the steering wheel, everything. And in turn, the car becomes it gets a very high temperature from inside. And this is again a practical example for greenhouse effect. And now the environmental phenomena which we have to discuss, which is known as greenhouse effect, is what? The atmosphere, the atmosphere contains many gases which are known as greenhouse gas. What they do is, as you can see in this picture, the greenhouse effect which we have to study related to our environment. So in our environment, you have the presence of atmosphere. And this atmosphere, it contains certain gaseous molecule. It has presence of different types of gases. Okay, so these are what? These are gaseous molecules. And these gaseous molecules, whenever the sun rays, they strike the light rays coming from the sun, they enter the earth or they reach the earth's surface passing through this atmosphere. So once these light rays, they reach the earth, what happens is, on earth, the required energy is being absorbed, and then these light rays are reflected back. But the number of light rays coming and the number of light rays reflected back are different, because the sun emits light rays in a given number, the required heat energy is absorbed by the earth, and then earth releases all the remaining light rays back. But what happens is, these gaseous molecules, they do not allow all the light or the heat energy to go back into the space, but these gaseous molecules, they trap the heat energy and they do not allow it to go into the outer space again from where it came. Then what happens is, now this heat energy is good. That is, trapping of heat, whenever it is in a limited amount, it was good, because this heat, it provides the earth with a limited or a normal tolerable temperature. But because of increase in the number of these gaseous molecules, these gases are called greenhouse gases. Okay, so when these gaseous molecules or the greenhouse gases, they are increasing in amount day by day, so what is happening is, they are not allowing the heat to escape from the earth, and they are trapping the heat, and this is called the greenhouse effect, because this is causing the phenomena of global warming. That is, the heat energy trapped by these gaseous molecules, because these gases are increasing in amount day by day. So the heat energy which is trapped by these gases, it is also increasing. And when this heat energy is increasing, it is warming up the earth more and more. Okay, it is heating the earth more and more, due to which there are many fluctuations in the weather pattern. Our climatic conditions of earth is changing very drastically. The mountains, the snow-covered mountains, that snow is being melted day by day. The sea water level is increasing because of the melting of the snow. So all these are the devastating effects. And this effect, when the temperature of the earth is increasing due to the trapping of sun's heat energy, this is called as global warming. Okay, I hope this is clear. This is initially what do you have as a greenhouse, then what is greenhouse effect, and the increase in greenhouse effect is causing global warming. So it is written, most of the heat is absorbed by the greenhouse gases and it is reflected internally only. Okay, the heat is reflected internally over all the directions in atmosphere, and it warms the earth. It is increasing the temperature of our earth day by day, and it is warming the earth. So this process is also called as global warming. And then you can write the harmful effects of global warming, which I told you, that is change in climatic pattern and weather conditions of our planet Earth. And the next one is that the polar ice caps are melting from the mountains and thus increasing our sea level. So these two are global warming and greenhouse effect. I hope this is clear. So this is a picture for the greenhouse gases. In your books, it has been mentioned that carbon dioxide is one of the greenhouse gases. So you can have the names of others also: methane, nitrous oxide, carbon dioxide, ozone, Then you have CFC, which is chlorofluorocarbons, carbon monoxide and sulfur dioxide. So these are the greenhouse gases, the gaseous molecules in our atmosphere which trap the heat and they are causing global warming. Next one is, what do you have? The phenomena of global warming, which I told you. Increasing greenhouse gas levels. The greenhouse gases which we saw in the last picture, in the last slide, when these gases, they increase in amount, are enhancing the greenhouse effect. So the greenhouse effect, that is the trapping of sun's energy, is increasing and it is causing global warming. Global warming is, you can define global warming in a manner. See, you have been shown a thermometer, okay, that the average temperature of the earth is increasing day by day. So global warming is increase in the average temperature of earth due to, it is the phenomena in which increase in average temperature of earth takes place due to the increase in amount of greenhouse gases. Okay, and this average temperature of earth is increasing, so I told you its harmful effects. Now next, the last topic of our class which we are coming on is ozone depletion, or firstly we will be seeing ozone layer. So ozone layer, the first point is, it is a layer present in our atmosphere which is made up of ozone gas. As the name suggests, ozone layer, it is a layer present in the atmosphere and it is made up of which gas? Ozone gas. So the next point would be, then what is ozone gas? So ozone is a triatomic molecule made up of oxygen atom. It is made up of oxygen atoms. Okay, so ozone is made up of oxygen atoms, and you know what is a molecule? Group of atoms is called a molecule. So in ozone, how many atoms are present? Triatomic means it is a molecule which has 3 atoms, and all the 3 atoms are of oxygen itself. So the formula for ozone is O3. Okay, oxygen which we have in our environment, it is O2. Oxygen gas, it is diatomic because it is having 2 atoms of oxygen. Whereas ozone here, ozone is a triatomic molecule. Molecule, it means it would be made up of atoms. And how many atoms? Triatomic means it has 3 atoms. And these 3 atoms are of oxygen itself. The third point is, ozone exists in gaseous state. The physical state of ozone is gases. Then the fourth one is, ozone is poisonous in nature. Yes, this ozone layer which is made up of ozone gas, it is quite poisonous in nature. And then we are very lucky that this ozone layer, it is very lighter, so it exists at the outer surface. That is, it is present away from the earth and it is not near to the surface of earth because it is having a poisonous nature. Despite it has a poisonous nature, but it is very helpful for us because this ozone layer, what is the function? Ozone layer is helpful as it protects us from harmful radiations of sun, from harmful sun rays. Because this ozone layer, it only allows certain rays of the sun to penetrate or to reach the earth's surface, and it does not allow all the harmful radiations to reach us. So in turn, we can say that ozone layer is very helpful as it protects our earth, the planet earth, from the harmful rays of sun. So the sixth point would be how it is protecting us from the harmful rays of sun. So ozone does not allow the harmful UV rays. UV means the ultraviolet rays, okay? The harmful UV rays to reach the Earth's surface, and in turn it protects us from its devastating effects, from the harmful effects of UV rays. So ozone, it does not allow, it is like a shield. It shields the Earth and it does not allow the UV rays which are coming from the sun to reach our planet Earth. And if ozone would be absent, then what would happen? If ozone would be absent, then these UV rays will reach our Earth's surface, and we can say that this would be, I guess, the seventh point. Yes. If we say, if the ozone layer was absent, then the UV rays and other harmful rays coming from the sun penetrated the Earth. Penetrate means to enter inside. So the harmful rays, including the UV rays, would have penetrated the Earth, and it would lead to cause many skin diseases and many other harmful diseases, skin diseases, then certain kind of allergies, then you have the presence of many other diseases like cancers, etc. So these UV rays, they are very harmful because they cause skin disorders, and in order they can also alter our genetic component or genetic constitution. That is, these UV rays, if they regularly fall on the Earth and if the ozone layer was absent, then these might even lead to changes in our DNA and RNA. Okay, so this is the best function which the ozone layer is serving. It is protecting us from the harmful UV radiation and the other harmful rays which are coming from the sun. And these rays, because the ozone layer is present, they are not able to come and they are not able to penetrate the Earth and harm us. So these are some of the uses of ozone layer. Now what is, okay, then you can remember one more point, that thickness of this ozone layer is measured in a unit which is known as Dobson. So Dobson is the unit which is used for measuring thickness of ozone layer. Okay. And then the very important point, which is a point of concern for us, is a hole in the ozone layer has been observed over Antarctica. Actually, hole does not mean from there the ozone layer has been escaped or it is absent. Hole means the thinning of ozone layer from a particular region. So a hole in the ozone layer is observed over Antarctica, and this hole, it signifies a thinning of ozone layer. So actually a hole does not denotes or signifies that the ozone layer is absent from that place. It just signifies that the ozone layer has got thin from that certain place, and we are observing a hole over Antarctica in our ozone layer. And due to this hole, and what is the cause of this hole, if we say why this ozone layer is being depleted day by day? So the basic cause of this depletion of ozone layer is CFC, that is depletion of ozone layer is caused by CFC. CFC is what? It is chlorofluorocarbons. These are a type of gaseous molecules which we have even seen in the flow chart, which I told you the different types of greenhouse gases. So CFC are regarded as chlorofluorocarbons. So what is the source of emission of these CFCs? From where do these CFCs are emitted? So these CFC, which are chlorofluorocarbon, are emitted from refrigerators and air conditioners. Okay, refrigeration systems, then you can write the air conditioners, etc. Wherever you have a cooling mechanism, the coolant used in those refrigerators or ACs, they contain this chemical which is known as chlorofluorocarbons. And these chlorofluorocarbons, whenever they are emitted or released in the environment, they deplete or they break or split the ozone molecules. You are not being given the mechanism by which ozone depletion occurs. But if we talk about the mechanism in short, then this is your ozone molecule, which is a triatomic molecule containing 3 oxygen atoms. So whenever the CFC work on these ozone molecules, what happens is these ozone molecules, they get splitted up or they break to form a oxygen-free radical with a diatomic oxygen molecule, because we know this is our diatomic oxygen gaseous molecule and it is quite stable. So what happens is the third oxygen atom, it gets separated off as an action of CFC. CFC are chlorofluorocarbons, okay, which contain chlorine and fluorine free radical. Now what happens is this oxygen radical, once this is formed, this is very unstable species. Unstable means it is highly reactive. So this oxygen free radical, it reacts with other molecule of ozone. This is your oxygen free radical. Free radical means it is having one extra electron or one free electron which is not present in a bonded state. So this oxygen free radical, it is highly reactive, because it has a free electron on its surface, and this reacts with the ozone molecule, which is the O3 molecule, and as a result you have 2 molecules of oxygen gas, that is 2 molecules of dioxygen formed. And as you can see from the ozone, when one CFC reacts with one ozone molecule, it forms oxygen free radical, and with this it forms the dioxygen gas which is stable and it is being released off. Then this free oxygen radical, it reacts with another ozone molecule, and then the ozone molecule gets splitted up into the 2 oxygen molecules. So as a result you have the depletion in the amount of oxygen, and these CFCs, every CFC molecule which is released by the refrigerant, each refrigerant, individual coolant system, if we talk about, it releases thousands or hundreds of CFC molecule. And each CFC molecule, it does not get destroyed on its own, but it persists in the environment and it reacts with hundreds of these ozone molecules. That is, a single chlorofluorocarbon is responsible to split up hundreds of ozone molecule. And then you can imagine that why our ozone layer is getting depleted day by day. And now to avoid this, now you have many devices which are CFC free. So now if you are trying to purchase any kind of air conditioners or refrigerators, do see that they contain a label that they are CFC free, so that these would be eco-friendly choices and you can protect our ozone layer or the environment from getting destructed. So this completes your topic, and the hole which is being observed over Antarctica is being shown in the picture. This picture, which is the purple color, actually if you can see in your books, it is written that the hole is being shown by a magenta color. So magenta is that purple color, and you can see this is a picture of October 1980. Then you have a picture of 1885 and 1990. So after every 5 years, the hole over ozone over Antarctica region is being observed, and it is seen that the ozone hole was expanding day by day. But now if you see the recent pictures, that is after 2015, the hole has been controlled. That is, its size has neither increased, but it has also not reduced, because of the new technology or the new research in science, which is the use of CFC-free coolant system, CFC-free air conditioners and CFC-free refrigerators. Now you have controlled the whole of ozone. Okay, so in this manner, if we continue, then our ozone hole and the environment would be thus protected. So now this was the last topic of this chapter, and we have completed the chapter, that is natural resources. So thank you for joining today's class, and hope to see you very soon. Thank you.